Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to focus in on the language of the relational method, and specifically within what I define as the set points themselves, which represents how the methodology connects together within the relational changing process. Now, this is something as you begin to invest in the method, as your skill set begins to improve, and as you start to go deeper into getting in tune with the mind of the dog, you'll start to see within the methodology or within the language of the method various points which are specific to influencing how the dog thinks. And these points themselves are those points that tie into how influence comes online. Say, for an example of that would be the push-pull method. So within the parameters of the push-pull method, as you begin to assert influence, okay, through the physical part of that method, what you'll see is there's a point where a dog's level of challenge will elevate, will begin to take hold as influence is happening through the method itself. But then what there's a peaking, which means that the dog will start to challenge that that level of influence, again within the parameters of what's reasonable. But then there's a coming into agreement with. Okay, there's a point, there's a kind of a dropping off point. So as you begin to push and pull, the dog will begin to go into a certain level of challenge, and then as you meet that challenge, okay, as you begin to push beyond it, and not just physically, okay, but relationally, okay, this is how this ties in. I talk about mind and body, not just it's not just about the methods, but about you becoming the system, how the method changes you. But as you begin to assert influence, you're meeting that level of challenge, but not in a way too. And here's the thing, I want to kind of qualify this a little bit as you're bringing the certain methods online. It's really understanding, I talk about this coming into agreement with, okay, understanding how the method comes together so that the level of challenge, okay, isn't going to create a level of aggression, okay, which means that you have to really be able to understand how the language is speaking, okay, the right kind of volume, okay, based on where you're at in a relationship. So again, when I talk about meeting that level of challenge with the dog, it's already knowing, okay, this is an important point, it's already knowing the dog is going to come into agreement with, okay, that you're right there, which means that where you're at in terms of the method at that point in time, you're going to be successful, okay, you're not going to go over the tipping point, so to speak, and create a bad moment, okay. So again, so just to frame this up, when I'm talking about the dog coming into agreement, it means that where you are in the process, is being very intentional with how this comes together, these relational dynamics, how they tie in. But again, the specifics of that moment itself, so as you're again meeting that level of challenge and knowing, okay, you're hitting that kind of peak, that tipping point, the dog coming into agreement with it at that level of as influence is hitting a certain level. And then within that, it's like I kind of define it as like the eye of a storm, okay. It's like that central pivotal moment, okay, within that method, that speaking that language where that dog comes into agreement with it. It's like a purging moment. It's like a moment where the dog goes into a moment of coming into agreement with that, okay, with that method at that certain point. And here's the thing, it's a great moment, okay, because it's like it's a moment of the dog coming into agreement, a relaxation point, and knowing that those points, okay, this is an important thing as you go deeper into the methodology, those points that are within these set points, I call them, okay, so set points themselves are points that the method speaks language and comes together. It's like speaking the language, it's all tying in. So when I talk about the script, I'm talking about how all the methods come together in the process to create change. okay, to impact the dog's, not just the moment you're in, which is part of the set points, but begin to influence the dog's overall decision-making process. But again, getting back to this real pivotal kind of moment within, okay, within that set point, is that's the thing that you start to really begins to establish the roadmap. Okay, you becoming the system. You start to really get in tune to these pivotal moments, and so what you're doing is you know exactly how to speak the right language of that method to a dog to achieve a certain specific result. Okay, but not just that. Okay, like I said before, knowing, being very intentional so that you're not creating bad moments. Okay, so it's very intentional right from the start is how you tie these in. That's why I say there's variances. So for example, if I'm dealing with a really challenging, aggressive dog case, the dog's holding a lot of control, and I take that dog in at a board and train level, then I may skip that push-pull step, okay, for the first couple of days. So so for me, the pivotal moments are just that dog coming to agreement with being beside me, okay. So it takes on different meaning, but then as the days move forward, then I am going to achieve those moments because the script becomes defined. I'm starting to be more intentional with how the script is starting to come together. It's starting to be really intentional, and because it's done in such a way to not trigger aggression, okay, so that you don't have bad moments. This is why I talk about the risk levels really going down with the dog, because it's about doing it smart. It's understanding how to do it smart. So anyway, just something to really think about when you're looking at really understanding this system of training, how these set points, how the language comes together. It's really understanding, going deeper, going into these actual pivotal points of the methodology, which is really, once you really get into this or really get it at that depth level of that, and through your journey, because some of the stuff really does, the understanding of what I'm saying even on this video comes through undertaking the journey. Okay, so there's part like information I can talk to, I can put the information out, but really need to invest in and undertake the journey. It comes to experience. It comes to really investing in and really seeking to gain that level. But again, once you start to really achieve that, you can do amazing things when it comes to dogs. You really start to really be able to maximize the amount of impact you have in the shortest period of time, okay, and while at the same time keeping it leveled out so that you're having a lot of great moments as opposed to bad ones. So anyway, just something to think about, and encourage you to really go deeper, really think about, consider that that's how specific this is. The system is really deep that way. There's a lot of relational dynamics that are part of it, but again, when you get into this whole language of the method, once you really begin to understand how to speak the right language to a dog, amazing things truly do happen. So thanks for watching.